As I get going on this How to Make More Money series, I think it's important to take a quick step back and examine how we think about money, both in how we effectively budget and plan towards making more. In this video, I'll show you how to do just that and give you 2 resources to kick things off. Welcome to Get It Together, and if you're new here, this channel is just me trying to figure out how to get my life together and sharing the tips and lessons I learned along the way. And today, we're chopping it up about money. Specifically, the areas to focus on when defining our desires and when setting our financial goals. By the end of this video, we'll have the tools and know the steps to have a clear and manageable exact target dollar amount to work towards. I think most of us, we think to ourselves, damn, I want to earn more money. But then we dress up on Monday morning, go to work, and figure, this is all the money I can earn until the next raise or promotion if the company I work for even has opportunities for advancement, or if I find a better paying job. Life does not stop, and so that's typically where the thought ends. It'd be nice to earn more money. Because we're caught up in the race, life doesn't wait for us. It then becomes all too easy to navigate our lives with the thought that this is the hand I'm holding, and so I just need to buckle down, work hard, and hopefully that'll all pay off in the end. But what is the end? And what makes us hopeful it'll get better? After all, in the immortal words of Albert Einstein, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. It stands to reason then that if we want different results, i.e. earning more money, we need to do things different. It's incredible how that feeling of apathy driven by almost like acceptable hopelessness can instead become a spark of mental clarity and a beacon towards actual action when we spend just 30 minutes putting pen to paper. 30 minutes to change apathy into at least awareness is, to me, all it takes to set things in motion. So without any further ado, let's dive right into section 1, knowing how much we need to live. I'm starting with this because it ain't sexy, nowhere near as much fun as section 2, but it's the most important thing because if we don't know what it takes to survive, how can we possibly plan anything? I've created a 100% free, no strings attached workbook. I initially made it for the How to Actually Get Out of Debt series, which I'll link right up here if you're interested in that. But for the purposes of knowing the cost of sustaining our lives, it's equally as applicable here. I've linked it in the description below, but just to show you all how it works, when you click the link in the description, it'll open up a new tab as a Google Doc. You'll notice that it says read only since I want to make sure everyone gets the same version. You can just print it out and fill it out by hand, which is what I personally recommend. But if you prefer to type things out instead, all you have to do is go to File, Make a Copy, follow the on-screen prompts, and it'll make a fully editable copy for you on your own Google Drive. But anyways, depending on whether or not you have any debt, you don't need to go through the entire thing. But the goal here is to know the full cost of regular life. And that's knowing the cost of the 4 S's. In order of importance, the cost of what's most sacred to you, the cost of bare minimum survival, the cost of sanity, and the cost of servicing debt. Since it's all laid out in the workbook, you can take your time with it, but for the purposes of this video, after going through it for myself, the cost of sustaining life as I know it is 2,650 Canadian dollars per month, or about 2,000 US, or 1,600 pounds or euros per month. This is taking it pretty minimal, by the way. From the roof over my head to the food in my belly, the costs associated with the car, like insurance, gas, and scheduled maintenance, my phone, utilities, service bills, all of that stuff. Feel free to go through the workbook because there are so many things that I wouldn't have remembered to go through without a list, like the cost of my Costco membership, for example. That's all been listed in there. Basically, by the end of that workbook, you'll know what life costs for you to sustain today. And for me, again, it's 2,650 Canadian dollars per month. But now that that's out of the way, we can get into the funner part, section 2 of the video, which is dreamlining. An exercise I learned about from Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Workweek. By the way, if you're into reading, I don't really recommend books very often, but this is one that I think is definitely worth reading cover to cover. It's not only really helped me change the way I think about money in the first place, but more importantly, gives nonstop actionable things we can do right away, as opposed to just spitting out theory. And this dreamlining exercise is just one of them. I've linked the book in the description below if you're interested in researching it for yourself. But let's dive right into this exercise and how to do it. It all starts with a blank piece of paper with 3 columns. Having, being, and doing. I've created a template for you that you can print out as well in the description, and the same thing as a workbook, works the same way in Google Docs. There are 2 things I love about this exercise. 1, this is the time to dream huge, unencumbered. And 2, when it's all said and done, you'll see how much less it'll actually cost than you probably think it is to attain. Starting with column 1, having. Start listing out the material things you want. And seriously, kind of go nuts here. For now, don't even think about how much these things cost. Just jot down whatever comes to mind. To save the time of actually doing this, we'll take a look at my list for now. I want to have a 3-bedroom place so I can have a dedicated studio to film. I want to have a Porsche GT3 RS. I want to have my dream video gear set up. Of course, there might be random other things, but this is the core of the stuff that I want to have. And so moving on to column 2, being, it's time to think about what you'd like to be. And this can be anything. To give you an idea, here's a quick rundown of my short list. I want to be a travel, food, and culture show host. Basically, I just want to be just like Anthony Bourdain. Rest in peace. Second on the list, I'm on the fence, but I'd say at least 51% I want to be a father. I mean, I think I'd like to have kids, but seeing as how I'm just barely taking care of myself right now, I should probably get better at life first. But regardless, it's something I might want to be. And that's just about the extent of the being column that comes to mind now, after which we can go to the last column, which is doing. And this too is a relatively short list. I want to be able to do a standing backflip. I don't know why, it's been a serious desire since I remember as a kid. Another thing I want to do is podcasting weekly while having meals and meaningful conversations with loved ones. Finally, when it comes to doing, I want to go on 1 unencumbered vacation per year. Ball out. Now we need to determine their costs. Depending on what the line item is, it can be tough. For example, let's say in your Dreamline you want to buy a house. Typically people don't have a lump sum they can just buy a house outright with cash. I mean, if you do, you're probably not watching this video. So for me, since we're in the dreamlining phase, don't get bogged down with analysis paralysis. A few quick Google searches will show you what's possible. This is a possibilities exercise. It doesn't have to be hammered into stone just yet. So just to simplify, as you can see, I'd like to have a 3-bedroom place. Instead of wondering what the housing market looks like now and speculating what it might look like in a few years, I just quickly searched what a 3-bedroom place would cost to rent in the area that I like, and it came to $2,500 a month as a reasonable budget to find that. I know I'm currently paying $1,200 a month for this roof, which I've accounted for in my calculations in section 1 of this video, so I split the difference to know that the added cost to upgrade would be $1,300. Same with the highest ticket item, the Porsche GT3 RS. That'll run me $250,000 Canadian. And for easy math, I called up the dealership and found out the cost of borrowing with 0 down, and it worked out to $3,000 a month for a finance term of 7 years. Now, to be clear, I'm a proponent of not going into debt, certainly not for a nice-to-have car, and most certainly not with the predatory rates of such a long loan term of 7 years. But for the purpose of this exercise, it's valuable to know realistically what's available and what's possible. So again, $3,000 a month. The last item I have in the having column is my dream video gear setup at $25,000. But with the camera store's financing option of up to 5 years, that slices to $400 a month with a reasonable interest rate. Just very quickly under the being column, some things like being the host of a travel, food, and culture show, I put at $3,000 per month. Without really needing to do too much research. I mean, I generally know how much flights cost, and I know I can hire someone locally at each destination to be a camera operator, and I know I'd like to do a different destination once per month. As for fatherhood, under the being column, Google tells me it costs on average $250,000 to raise a child until they're 18. So I did the currency conversion, did the division, tweaked a little bit for easy math, giving me a total of $1,500 Canadian a month. Again, you don't need to go insane with accuracy, just some quick Googling and seeing what's possible. The doing column, as you can see, has something that costs $0, and that's wanting to do a backflip. Don't ask. And as another example in that column, I want to have a weekly meal with someone or a group of people I really care about and record the conversations we have into a podcast. And I assume that each meal won't cost more than $100, and with 4 weeks in a month, it'll cost $400 a month. As for the vacation, that's just generously assumptive, setting aside a spread of $500 a month for a total of $6,000 per year. But regardless, at this point, we're ready to head over to section 3 of the video, which is the ultimate goal at this planning stage, to have a clear idea of what our actual income target is. Bust out the calculator app and get to calculating. So we start with the items in the having column. I'm currently paying $1,200 a month for this place, so I need to add not the full $2,500 for the 3-bedroom place, but $1,300, which is the difference. Then add $3,000 a month for the Porsche, $400 a month for the dream video gear setup. Move on to the being column and add the $3,000 a month for the assumptive monthly costs of that travel food show, the $1,500 a month to raise a kid. Migrate over to the doing column and add the $400 a month for the meal podcast thing, and the $500 a month for the split up cost for my generous annual vacation. That gives us the running Dreamline total of $10,100. But of course, we're not done. We'll set that number aside for a second to focus on the current cost of daily life. Again, for me, from the workbook, it's at $2,650 per month, but Tim Ferriss recommends something really interesting here, which is to add 30% to that, to factor in everything from savings to emergencies, to even just random unplanned spending like, I don't know, needing to buy a frying pan. I think 30% is quite a lot, but it really makes a ton of sense. So adding 30% by taking $2,650 times 1.3 gives us a living total of $3,445. Adding the Dreamline total of $10,100 and the living total of $3,445 gives me a total target monthly income of $13,545. And when I first saw this number, I was like, the f***? On a good month at present, I barely bring home a quarter of that. But then I proceeded down to the last step of the Dreamline exercise to calculate the target daily income. Dividing $13,545 by 30 days in a month gives me a target daily income of $450. So I'm nowhere near that, obviously. But here's the thing. This is a dream life, and anchoring a real dollar target suddenly makes the dream significantly more real. As a random example, I looked up furniture assembly on TaskRabbit, and as you can see, found folks in my area doing IKEA assembly for as much as $117 an hour, $100 an hour, $78 an hour. And to be clear, I'm not saying I'm planning to be a furniture assembler on TaskRabbit, nor am I saying that these folks can consistently get a job or two a day. Not to mention, there are people offering this service for less. But just knowing that if I charged $100 per hour on a publicly available website like many people are already doing, and I had 4.5 hours of work per day, I could have this dream life I've laid out. This dream life. That's pretty freaking empowering, as opposed to the way I thought before I did this dreamlining exercise, which was a Porsche GT3 RS will forever be a pipe dream. Earning more money is the focus of this series on Get It Together, which is something I'm determined to figure out. But money is just one part of the equation. The other is freeing up time to be able to enjoy that money. And so I posted the poll in the community tab on the Get It Together channel to gauge which type of side hustle you're interested in. Right now, from the 29 people who voted at the time of recording this video, it's a dead tie between a service-based side hustle and a content-based one, with a few folks interested in doing a product-based endeavor. As I said in the last video, which I'll link right up here, I plan on learning about and implementing all three into my life. But as I leave the poll up for a few more days, I think the time freedom bit is important to think about. As Warren Buffett said, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you'll work until you die. Ultimately, that's the goal of this series, for us to learn together how to stop exclusively trading our time for money, but instead find ways to make money independent of the time we put in. And I hope you'll join me. By the way, if you're getting value out of this video, please do hit that like button. If you'd like to follow along, be sure to hit the subscribe button right over here. And if you enjoyed this video, I think you'll really like this one right over here. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.